Which way? See you later.
Oh no.
Uncharted Among Thieves is a sequel game to Drake's Fortune. It is like the Toy Story 2 of all video games, and here to review the second time. So with that all said, let's review the second game, but before that, let's all pay respects to Eddie S in the chat to pay respects. We start the first chapter off in the middle of a train, not that one, this one, with Nate bleeding out, and he falls to his death. I mean, he climbs back up and finds a mysterious item on the floor.
You wanna know what happened next? Me too.
On a nice sunny beach, Nathan Drake is enjoying a drink.
I'm thirsty.
With his old friend coming to him named Harry Flynn. Now the returning characters, I'm not gonna talk about the original voice casting, due to them being all the same. So Harry is played by Steve Valentine. I'll come back to what I think of Harry Flynn in a bit. And Chloe Fraser, who is voiced by Claudia Black, and both want Nate's help to translate a piece of paper, written by Marco Polo. They mention how Oil Lamp has something hidden that could lead them to the Lost Fleet, where Marco Polo shipwrecked on an island. So the team decides to sneak into a museum where it's kept. Chloe is cheating on Harry with Nate, which I have to ask, why? Elena and Nate have a great relationship together, and spoiler, they do come back together at the end of the game. I'm really not sure why they have Chloe as a love interest in this first half, and then the second half have Elena be the love interest again. But anyway, the next chapter is where Nathan Drake and Harry Flynn both sneak into the museum, with Chloe handling the lights. Also, just pointing out, Chloe's heist outfit is literally just her default but painted black. So we head in the pipeway, sneak through some guards, before we carry on, like the little detail of Naughty Dog's logo. Also, I remembered last time I mentioned how sneaking was terrible, but they managed to improve it drastically. When you take down an enemy, Nathan Drake will pull them along the wall, or the floor, as long as you're taking cover. The segment teaches you to use a gun, so Harry brings in tranquilizers. Also this happened.
Flynn, they're just museum guards.
No! So they get the oil lamp and smash it, with them finding resin inside. It's extremely flammable, and with it show the way to the Lost Fleet, and talks about Shambala. So let's see. 3 characters, made by Naughty Dog, and they're sneaking in the night. So Harry betrays you, because his use is over, despite the fact he's an idiot, and that's Nathan Drake. Trust me, the reason I hate Harry, and is my less favorite Uncharted villain, is because he betrays you, and every time you discover something important, he tells his boss that he figured it out. Trust me, he's annoying. So we get captured and was imprisoned.
You overlooked one little detail, didn't you, partner? What? Face it, genius, you've been played. Oh, really?
So Sully busts him out by buying him out. All the money he finds on the island with El Dorado is almost all gone. Now I would question, if Nathan Drake still had the money, why did he take the job? It was just for more money. Sure, the more the merrier. But if you had enough to addles buy 60% of your freedom in a prison, then you could addles still pay for all your bills for a decent amount of years. But let's get back. Chloe was the one who told Sully about when Nate was imprisoned. They heard about it being a sapphire stone in Shambala that they're after, and apparently Sully was in before we were.
I'm Victor Sullivan.
Even when I'm out, I'm in.
So they plan to beat them to the treasure, with Chloe making a distraction by planting some bombs on one side of the camping ground. We start chapter 3 with, oh god, what happened to Nate? So yeah, there's these skins you can unlock in the game. It had it in the last one, but I didn't really go into them so much, because I wanted to focus more on the story and gameplay side of things, since there's only small little changes to each game. For example, when you fight, if you're struggling, you press triangle to escape it. You'll know when you can do it, because the screen slows down for a second or two, but you mostly press the square button most of the time. So these skins You can become almost any character in the game, even Eddie, so I could do this. Sometimes they work in cutscenes, sometimes not, so we sneak into their camp, setting the bombs so they're ready to explode by a push of a button, fight some more guys, and into chapter 4. We meet the headman himself, Lazarevic. Wait, I can spell it right. Lazarevic. So Lazarevic and his men are trying to find the dead bodies from the Lost Fleet. He is voiced by Graham McTavish. One thing I was hoping they do is that this man betrays Lazarevic for some treasure. I thought it would have been cool if you could pick it up as part of your collection. But continuing. So Sully detonates the bombs to distract Lazarevic and his men. So Nate sneaks inside and figures out where the bodies were after the tsunami hit. I probably should have mentioned that earlier. They went to higher ground, and Harry and Lazarevic couldn't even figure that out in 3 months. Nathan Drake
got further in 1 afternoon than we got in a month.
So more guys comes in and we get to use grenades. And trust me, they feel way more stronger in this game. Watch me blow up the tower.
Nice one. Let's keep moving.
Do you see, gods of Olympus? Do you need more proof than this?
We meet Chloe by the temple and find a map to where we need to go next. To a place where we also need to go next, with also this item, the thing we started with in the beginning of the game. It's a key, the golden key to Shambala. So we get back up with Chloe faking to be their allies, and shows Harry the map. Would say, if you're thinking of faking the faking of being their ally, if that even makes sense. Why show him the map to the next location? You could have said they must have found something inside, and then leave with them. So we leave with Chloe meeting us there. Now be very careful with this jump. It loves to trick you. So we are in a corner when we need to jump.
See you in hell, kid.
One more thing. You don't get to see Sully until the end of the game after this. Starting chapter 5 we get into a car chase. Run fatty run. This also reminds me of a Bandicoot. As I was looking I found a sewer pipe and entered it. It has this treasure when it comes to Naughty Dog games. Jak and Daxter is the only franchise I haven't played of theirs. So I did want to check if it's from one of their original games. Since I recognize the egg from somewhere, more fighting and we meet with Chloe. We figure out we need to look for a tower with that symbol on it. So we gotta move to the high ground. Chloe suggests a hotel, because it's the highest tower in the city, so we move. Also, could we say, the deaths of these games are so funny. When you kill your opponent they fly or do crazy backflips. Just wait until you see what these little twerks can do. Also this happened.
Don't look at me! I'm a ballerina! A ballerina!
So we get the sick team of Chloe Fraser and Sans Undertale. Chapter 6 starts and we need to take care of him. Also I find it funny, you can hang on the other side and just drag him down, and yet that kills him. So all these guys are defeated. Get inside and Nate gets stuck, so you play as Chloe. I'm joking. I just wanted to see how many I can get with that. We power the elevator so Chloe can get out and head to the roof. If you head into the pool in the deep area, Nathan Drake would do Marco Polo.
Hey, check it out. Marco.
Really?
Come on.
No.
Marco.
Polo.
We find the tower. Lazarevic's men finds Nate in Sector 18, and somebody hires Charles to hunt us down.
Alright, get to bring out the big guns. Did it work?
And we get some grenade launchers. Also I nut punch this guy to death. We get down in the most painful way ever. Meet Elena and her cameraman, with his name being Jeff, who is voiced by Gregory Mira. They're here because of Lazarevic trying to bring him down. So we team up kinda, and into chapter 7. It's practically shoot a bit and make a bridge. Now here's something interesting. When you throw these canisters, you press the fire button and it blows up. Let's test it out.
Go.
We make it into a temple.
Lazarevich can't be after the money. He doesn't need it.
I like how it's Elena questioning why he's doing it, since last time she questioned about the Spanish disappearance, showing how she's still skeptic about all these ancient events. I'll come back to Navarro and Roman in the future, until you truly understand Lazarevich's true plan. Now I'm gonna talk about chapter 8, 9, and 10 here, because they're all parts of the same thing and they're really short. The first part is to move the statue around. Pay attention to the book and you should have it, but it's both right arms and the top left.
You alright?
Wow, remind me again if Nathan Drake is truly human. Again, so put the key in and open a door.
You know, it's actually kind of romantic down here.
Alright. There's the chocolates and flowers.
You never were a chocolate and flower kind of girl.
Remind me why they forced this relationship with Nate and Chloe when they leave with Nate being in love with Elena. It's kinda like when they made Mario and Daisy a thing, but changed it shortly after to Peach again. Talking of Mario, remember this hallway thing in 64? Well, they actually pull the same trick, which I find it a bit funny. So the spike are coming down to them, kinda like in a Indiana Jones film, with you shooting the gears. We then have to form a giant version of the key to open the statue's mouth, beam some lights, climb the structures, and enter the mouth, where we find the location to Shambala, with Nate marking it on his map.
We just need to adjust that other reflector.
On my way.
So they escape with a few of Lazarevich's men inside the temple. Also, new thing, these guys have more advanced armor and shields. I like the details in when you fire at the shield, you see where the bullet holes landed, and get to Elena and Jeff. In chapter 11 we had to try and save Jeff. Chloe believes we should leave him, as Nate and Elena try to save him. We then get into what I think is one of the best cutscenes in the game. Why? I'll explain. Like I said, Chloe believes he's as good as dead, with the others two being hopeful. This is a deep conflict between the two. Here are example of a scene from the Guardians Telltale series. Drax is willing to launch himself to save the others, but he needed your help. You choose to let him go, meaning he would die, or take the risk, which by not letting him go, lets Groot get harmed in the process. I'm saying Drake could have left him, and they save their own skin, or continue helping him, slowing them down. It's something to come and play in the future for these characters, and it's when we properly get introduced to Lazarevich, and this scene is their version of
So much effort. For what?
Of course it had another time when Harry takes the glory, which was the worst part of the whole scene, but let's carry on. Elena does something I want to do to Harry, break his nose, and they run and escape them. Now I would say the cutscene after I got a bit confused, because they say Harry knows Chloe is a traitor, but not Lazarevich.
Flynn knew she was with me. If Lazarevich finds out she double-crossed him, you know what he'll do to her.
You'd think he'd tell him. So Nate wants to save Chloe and we enter chapter 12. We sneak attack these enemies, and we even have an interesting fight section with Nate being on the sight posts, so he uses it as defense. We enter inside a train station and, well...
Somebody save the
Drake. Elena gets a vehicle ready to get on the train, since Chloe was on it, so we try to catch up to it when...
No, hold on.
All we had to do was follow the damn train.
Elena. Chapter 13 and 14 is when we're on
The damn train.
so it's climbing to the next cargo after another. They call in Charles again.
Alright, here I come. Da, 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 da.
And it's all I can say is fighting. Then I needed to open a door.
This guy really is a moron. Can't believe he does not open a door.
The cargo explodes, and we get under a tunnel. Now you get out the tunnel, and it's in a snowy area. Reminds me of a place I saw before. I like the foreshadow of the vehicles they use. We then see somebody that reminds me of Guile. and then he calls the helicopter to hunt us down again.
Check, this is Charles.
So we need to do something about it. Something to fire back against it.
How the hell am I supposed to take on their head?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh, I'm losing control. Oh boy, this is bad. This is really... Oh boy.
We then fight against the guy who reminds me of Guile. Get the key back. And Chloe doesn't want our help. As Harry shoots us, we run back shooting some canisters, with us falling to our doom.
Were you killed?
Sadly, yes. But I lived.
So we're back to where it all started, in a train. After getting out, we find the key, and fight some enemies. Now I find this weird. If you walk normally after defeating all enemies, you walk slow. But when you pick up a canister you jog like it's nothing. So we climb out and get to... Where are we? This is Tenzin, voiced by Pima Dondup. But interestingly, the person who did the motion capture was Robin Atkin Downs, the same man who plays Navarro in the last game. So you were saved by Tenzin and he brings us to the village, when you meet Cole Schaefer, but known as just Schaefer, in this game, who is played by René Auberjonois. Nate is talking about quitting and saying he's over with it, which is practically recycling what he said in the last game in Chapter 8.
So, they have beaten you, huh?
It seems so, but Schaefer convinces him to go to the mountains, since he found something there that proves Shambala is real. So Nate and Tenzin goes, as Elena stays back. We head inside, and for somebody who already played a Thief's End, I found it odd that he never mentioned anything about who taught him, or how he could be able to do it. Sure, Naughty Dog may not have thought that far ahead, but it would have been nice if something were to be mentioned about him learning the ropes, or in that game maybe he references it in some way. But let's continue. We find a dead body, who remind me of Lee from the Telltale game The Walking Dead. I mean, just look at the similarities. Before we carry on, I wanted to look at the notebook and say, I love how there's a part with sully faces. 1 is delight, 2 is compassion, 3 is my favorite being arousal. Nate even drew a cigar as he writes what he says, and 4 being anger. That one having my favorite photo. So we continue and find these creatures. Now I want to compare the Spanish to these Yeti-like creatures. Now I think the Spanish had the best foreshadow compared to these things. Here they are earlier in the story, which I like, so they can be used in the last 10 you only fight them in 4 chapters. Why have them if they're only gonna be in 4 chapters? But continuing, we scare it off. Schaefer couldn't even warn us about these things.
Huh?
You know what? I'm gonna say someone is among us. But anyway, move to chapter 18. In this chapter we separate from Tenzin and push buttons and levers. I wonder if Tenzin can hear us from here.
Tenzin! Pull that switch!
What?
So we climb down to each other. Hey, I'm surprised they could. Okay, be honest, Nate makes the impossible jump, so I should have expected that. We get inside the giant building, and there was Nazis inside. But they were all shot because of some curse. We pull a lever and more of those Yetis. Wait, did he just give me the middle finger? And the platform slowly gets here. So we escape barely, and see the town was invaded, because they had the key, which I don't know how they found us. If Nate made a trail of blood as he was getting dragged, that I would get, but they don't exactly show us why. In these next chapters, it's basically protect the city.
A man has fallen into a man in Lego City.
Also, this happened to somebody. How far did he go? Also, it seems friendly fire is on for them because one of their members blew their own up. I'm not joking, it literally did happen. We try looking for Schaefer, and we see him protecting a young girl as they slowly take him. Now we gotta face a tank. I liked that they had it on the train, to foreshadow the fight to come up. So we run. The tank almost commits suicide and we have to rocket launch it until it's destroyed.
Hasta la vista, baby.
They take Schaefer and Nate and Elena ride to save him. Not much to say about this section, but it's really fun and cool. I like how of course the laws of gravity doesn't affect us, and we just jump to one ride after another. Of course they could just stop and that'll be it, but where's the fun in that?
You again?
So we get on Eleanor's vehicle and we pursue the vehicle.
Alright, everyone back to work. I will not forget about this. This is coming out of your paycheck, all of you.
Now it's a lot of action in these scenes, but know this, the twerks are so fun to use. The no gravity makes everyone floats in the air when they die. That I find funny and crazy. So continue. We also climb a bit, and maybe destroyed a building, and a bridge. So we find the room that has Schaefer in it, and he dies. This is the main game that decided to kill off characters, and is the only game that kills off characters, just not the emotional characters. I mean, Nate does show how sad he was to his death, but he only knew him for at least 5 minutes. He wants Nate to destroy the stone for him, so Nate Elena separates. Elena has no idea what the Yetis are.
Nate, there's something strange going on over here. There's some sort of animals.
Yeah, I probably should have warned you about them.
Warned me? Wait, you knew about these things? When were you planning on telling me?
So Schaefer didn't warn her about them.
No?
So Nate finds a room with Flynn still being an idiot by handing Chloe the key as he leaves the room. So Nate asks to have the key back. So there's a puzzle in the room when you need to pay attention to the colors of the animals and match the shape with the colored animals, since the shapes too have colors. After that you turn this symbol to the right symbol only to find out you just needed to go to the right statue. It's a fun puzzle to figure out, but come on, just to say you go there. So we head there and take down Lazarevic's men.
Wendy, I can fly!
And we see a path by a tree, so that's where we go. Chapter 24 is where we enter the road to Shambala, but we get interrupted by Lazarevic, and this is in my opinion the worst chapter of all Uncharted games. Here's why. We agree to help him and Harry Flynn makes sure we open a passage for Lazarevic. Now would say, even if I hate Harry, I like the detail on how he punches you if you try to attack him, but it feels like a let Harry pick on Nate like a child, with childish insults. Even Nate says one, and he keeps pushes you. So we make it to the temple where we are introduced to another puzzle. This one we push a giant symbol wall as Harry rushes you. We complete it and fight more of those Yetis. Lazarevic kills them, despite them not bleeding, like I've been making them do. It turns out it was a scarecrow, so I believe humans turns to these things in time. That's why the Nazis were all shot, to not turn on each other. So we make it out. At least Chloe breaks his nose this time, and we run. We escape them, and Chloe doesn't think they could take on Lazarevic now because
Well, he thinks he's fulfilling some sort of prophecy that the stone will somehow make him... But that's not how it will end. This is how it will end.
No. Not this time.
and land were more of those. I forgot their names.
Who lives there?
Shambalians.
I guess.
So we get attacked by the Shambalians. As a heads up, their kryptonite is their own bowers. 2 shots and they're down. We fight both humans and Shambalians until we get to the temple, where the stone wasn't made of sapphire, it was made of resin, and we get the scene when Harry dies, which I say,
Yes, yes, yes!
But he almost blows up Elena.
No, no!
Why? Why couldn't we kill him, instead of him blowing himself up almost killing Elena? For example, let's look at Heimdall from God of War Ragnarok. When you first meet him, he toys with Atreus, as we're hanging off the walls of Asgard, toys with the Root about her and her family, and when we actually fight him, we impale the Dropnir spear into him, and he whining when we beat him, but you know why it worked, because we keep bearing through his annoying up his own personality. It's satisfying when we give it to him, but he died harming one of our allies, instead of running him through. But let's carry on. I at least like the poetic moment when Chloe didn't think they could help Jeff because He thought he was a lost cause, but having her help Elena out because she didn't for Jeff is a nice scene on her character growth, so Nate tells Chloe to go, as he saves the day. This last chapter is Nate facing down against Invincible Lazarevic. Now let's talk about both villains from the last game. Gabriel Roman wanted to find El Dorado because of how much it would cost. Navarro wanted the money from what was inside the coffin, as Lazarevic just wants the power from Shambala. Remember that scene when Elena asks why Lazarevic is after Shambala, and it couldn't be for money, it was for actual superpowers. It makes him different from the other villains in the series, which of course I like. So this boss you have to destroy the resin. When Lazarevic gets close, every time it gets harder and harder, and I like how he basically activates Spartan Rage. So you defeat him, he wants you to kill him.
Do it!
Come on. Do it! Do it!
But Nate refuses, for little reason. So he gets killed by the Shambalians, and Nate runs. Reminds me of a bandicoot. Nate saves Chloe from one of the Shambalians, and they leave, and Elena is shown to be dead, and you move to Schaefer's funeral, with Elena actually being fine. I have no idea why fake Elena being dead, then move right next to Schaefer's funeral. That's like if you saw Tony Stark die in Endgame, then everyone is saying goodbye to Natasha Romanoff, but at least she's safe, and Nate was a 4 out of 10 on her being dead.
4?
And that was it. Uncharted Among Thieves. This game had more development in its gameplay this time round. I feel like the first game had a bit more on its story narrative than this game had, but this game did have some new favorites, being Chloe, who's a mainstay, and gets her own spin-off game that I'll get to, but not now. I say it's Harry Flynn that was a downgrade to Navarro. So with that all said, this game gets a 8 out of 10.
And I swung back and forth and 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 back and forth until